when it comes to PETA, for example, or some of the members of the environmental movement, if the alarmism actually undercuts support for ability to do things, meaning that it's enervating. There's this push on some parts of the radical environmentalist movement, as you see in the animal rights movement with PETA, where PETA will do Holocaust on your plate. My first reaction is, I'm going to go eat a bucket of chicken right now, because a chicken is not a human being. And when you say that this is like a Holocaust, my answer is no, it's not. And when it comes to climate change, it's sort of the same thing. When I see people saying, well, it's going to be the day after tomorrow, and Dennis Quaid is going to be wandering across the ski slopes in the middle of New York, and that's going to happen next year, and all of Miami is going to be underwater. I mean, I saw a story just this week about somebody saying, well, if all the ice caps melted, then all of Florida would be gone. Right, and if an asteroid hits Earth, we'll all be dead. I mean, like, that's not useful talk. You know?
Well, I would say a couple of things. First of all, my instinct isn't the same as yours. I don't rush off to eat the chicken. I would rush off to condemn PETA's rhetoric.
Right. I hear.
No, I don't have a reflexive. I don't rise to meet the anger that inspired them to.
I think that's fair.
And secondly, I want to know if an asteroid is coming toward Earth. I want scientists working on it. And if scientists say to me, that's really no threat, or that's a threat that we just can't do anything about, then I will sleep soundly, not stressing out about asteroids. If there are 5 or 6 papers that say all of Florida is going to be underwater in 3 years, I'd say I really need to know more. You know, an analogy that I often think about is if I were to get a cancer diagnosis. You know, if I went in for a regular physical, my physician calls me and says, your blood work came up a little bit weird. I think it would be good to get a more extensive check by a cancer expert. I wouldn't go and amputate my limbs. I wouldn't go and sign up for chemotherapy the next day. I'd say, who's the best doctor? I want to go to the best doctor. Do I trust doctors? Absolutely. No. Do I trust them more than I trust myself with medicine? Of course I do. If that doctor said to me, we have reasons to be concerned, you know, here's what I would prescribe, I'd say I want to get a second opinion, especially if the prescription was something really dramatic that I did not want to do, like chemotherapy. If the second doctor said, I think this is serious, I would also suggest chemotherapy, perhaps a slightly different course of it, but I'd say I want to talk to a third doctor. There is a number of doctors that I would talk to where even though the accumulation of their advice would leave some uncertainty, there's enough doctors that I would talk to where I'd say, I need to take action. I don't know if this is the best action, but it is the one that's been most widely recommended to me by experts who have no strong incentive to send me through chemotherapy. So what are my choices? My choices are to live with it for a while and see what happens, or to try to be proactive and treat it in advance of it metastasizing. So what we know is that people who wait usually die. Or at the very least, their quality of life is radically inhibited. They're not able to work afterwards. They're not able to lift their children into the air. They're not able to enjoy meals. They can't travel, all of the things that make life valuable. I wouldn't want that fate. So chemo strikes me as something that would be incredibly shitty to experience, and I would do just about anything to avoid. But there are times when it's justified. So, you know, my attitude about this, I'm not a climate expert. Mm-hmm. I'm not a scientist, you know. I assume you would describe yourself the same way.
Yeah, of course.
I'm somebody who tries to read, and I try to read broadly, you know, as much as I can. Everything I have read has suggested that this is an unambiguous situation. I'm not talking about projections 100 years out or 200 years out. I don't know what coastal cities might flood or not. I know that there are very good reasons to think we're going to have a lot of flooding, including the fact that we already have. It seems to me sensible to start to make changes. One thing that you've said before, which I was taken with, is that humans are good at adapting. And that rings true to me. The question is, when do we start adapting?
Thank you for tuning in to The Daily Wire, one of the fastest growing conservative media outlets in the country. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss out on any of our content.